Hey, it's the right Rican, and as the war in Ukraine keeps going on, we see ridiculous things at home, the home front here. And here's one of the things that's going on is basically a call for censorship, and this is really dangerous because, especially when you have like the media and people, television calling for censorship, and in this case, calling for the arrest. And because I like how this article is PC about calling for the arrest, because it goes here. The View wants DOJ to probe Tucker Carlson and Tulsi Gabbard for Russian propaganda. And, even here, I mean, you have to get to the bottom of the article to see the quote, but it goes here. I'll read the beginning. It goes, several hosts of The View on Monday suggested that the DOJ should investigate Fox, Tucker Carlson, and Tulsi Gabbard for peddling Russian propaganda, with one panelist even noting how in the past such transgressions may have resulted in arrest. Well, that they know that people don't really read a lot of people don't read the articles. They'll just read the headline. But if you go down into the article, it was Whoopi, Miss, the anti-Semite herself. I shouldn't say that. She's just misinformed. It goes here. Moderator Whoopi Goldberg, meanwhile, took Navarro's suggestion several steps further. They used to arrest people for doing stuff like this if they thought you were colluding with a Russian agent or putting out information or taking information and handing it over to Russia. They used to investigate stuff like this, she added. And I guess now there seems to be no bars, and people are not being told to hate Putin. Putin doesn't need a reason to be hated. It's pretty much clear. But she's basically calling for them to be arrested, saying that this is basically implying it. And I'm not going to get into the Tucker Carlson stuff, because obviously they hate Tucker, but they used to love Tulsi. And the problem with Tulsi is she doesn't play ball. It's not like when Bernie Sanders played ball. He played ball, made money, and the left love him. But meanwhile, Tulsi don't play ball. She's principled. Even if I disagree with some of her stance, she's principled. She's anti-war, and what she's talking about here, it goes here. Tulsi Gabbard demands Mitt Romney resign over comments that she's a treasonous liar. And she called him out on Twitter. She called him out and said, basically, where is it here? She goes, you called me a treasonous liar for stating the fact that there are 25 plus US funded biolabs in Ukraine, which, if breached, will release and spread deadly pathogens to the US and the world, and therefore must be secured in order to prevent new pandemics. Bizarrely, and here's the Mitt Romney tweet. Tulsi Gabbard is parroting false Russian propaganda. Her treasonous lies may well cost lives. And he goes, she just put here, Senator Romney, please provide evidence that what I said is untrue and treasonous. If you cannot, you should do the honorable thing, apologize and resign from the Senate. I would love that. I hope the people of Utah vote him out. I really do. When it comes time to primary him, I hope he loses and then runs as the Democrat, as he should. So, she made, she backed up what she talked about, where she's talking about there are US funded labs in Ukraine. Many. I don't, she pulled up the number 25. I forgot where she got it from, but You're talking about someone that was in the government. She knows some of these things. And it's not she said US labs, she said US funded labs. These fact checkers try to, play it off like, no, these are US funded labs. And that's, the problem with what's going on with this censorship, with this call for censorship is, this the reason this calling for it because this new war that's going on with Ukraine, yeah, there's a physical hot war going on, but there's an information war part of it as well. And that's where you have all the censorship going on. You have here, how is this any different? Look, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter removed disinformation targeting Ukraine. Remember when Lab Leak was a conspiracy theory and disinformation? Remember Hunter Biden's story was disinformation? Even my preferred search engine is doing the same thing. Here's from the Washington Examiner. DuckDuckGo slammed for downrating Russian search results. And so how is this any different? It goes here. Russia takes censorship to new extremes, stifling war coverage. So how is that any different than what we're doing? If we're using the same tactics as Vladimir Putin, how are we any better? How are we any better? You cannot say, we're fighting, we're fighting disinformation, but meanwhile we're using the same tactics that Putin's using in Russia, that the Chinese use in China. We're censoring stuff that the government doesn't agree with. And, the government is not the arbiter of truth. Truth is truth. This whole nonsense of, well, it's your truth. No, there's your opinion, then there's the truth. You're entitled to your opinion, but you're not entitled to your truth. But this is what's going on nowadays is, like I said, are we the good guys if we're using the same tactics as the people that we call the bad guys? We call him evil, but we're using his same evil tactics. And as long as we're using those same tactics, we are no better. His people are uninformed of the stuff that's going on, and our people are only getting one side. Just because Putin's evil doesn't mean that this is why I've avoided talking about this topic, is because just because he's an evil guy doesn't mean, let's say, he may not have, he may have how do I explain it without looking? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Look, he may have his reasons for why he did it, doesn't make it right. Someone punches you in the face, you have every right to defend yourself, but that doesn't mean you go and shoot the person. That's the problems that was going on with, let's say, fighting as a kid, when I was a kid doing street fights versus what goes on now. You disrespect somebody, they want to shoot you. Back in the day, we called the shooting the fair one. Well, we just, fist fight. That's it. You were, you manned up, you did your thing, but at the end of the day, you respected the person. Well, you hoped you gained their respect one way or another. If you lost the fight, you won the fight, you gained respect somewhere. I had the reputation of a brawler. I don't know how, but that was just my reputation. I was never one to pick a fight. I don't like fighting, but if you picked it, you started it, I finished it. And that's how you stand up to a bully. But what's going on right now is we're when you can't get information, there doesn't matter if you agree with it or not. If the government's being the arbiter of truth and they're censoring stuff that they don't want you to have out there, then we are being no better. All the conspiracy theories, all the disinformation, it shouldn't be censored, period. If that means that some people will fall for it, I mean, how many things in the last 2 years went from conspiracy theory to conspiracy fact. Okay. Just because, but what goes on is the activists in media can't call them journalists because they're activists. They're activists for their side. And mainstream media, exception of Fox News, is is the propaganda arm of the Democrat Party, and Fox News is the propaganda party for the Republican Party. And why I say propaganda is because sometimes it's spin for their side. Fox News is not the only one guilty. Both sides spin. Like you have that, the bullshit term of anti-gay bill in Florida, when it's just talking about, you're not going to talk about sexual preferences and gender identity stuff to kindergarten to third grade. That's not anti-gay. That's common sense. I don't want you teaching that shit to my kids at that age. I don't want you teaching my kids that stuff at all. Not till they're old enough to understand it. But that's what passes for news. And then you have the Democrat activists in media calling these, like I said, calling this bill the anti, don't say gay bill. It's nonsense. But that's what they evoke emotion. That's what divides us. Instead of attacking the bill, they use sensationalism. So like that, where it should be a common sense bill. I don't see why the Democrats want to fight a bill that just goes, we're not teaching sexuality and stuff to kids. But we go, that's what the media does. And, now calling for censorship, if you disagree with their narrative, if pushing a story that the media doesn't want out there, that, the government doesn't want out there, because they don't want this US funded labs out there. It's, it's dangerous to the narrative, because the narrative they want to put that is Putin's 100% wrong, he's evil and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he could be wrong, 99% wrong. In this one case, he could be right about this. It doesn't make, just because he's right about this doesn't make this war justified. But that's, like I said, that's what's going on. And as long as we're calling for censorship in this country, we are no better. If you don't like the Russian disinformation, learn how to battle it. But you can't talk about disinformation when you have a media that supported a Russian hoax, Russian collusion for 4, 5. It still goes on today saying, there's people in the media that still insist the Trump-Russian collusion is true. When there's plenty of evidence to show that it's false. But that's what we get for news today. So if you're with me, give me a like. If you don't, if you agree that we shouldn't be censoring, we should be fighting against censorship, not encouraging it. We should have free speech in this country. It's in our Constitution. It's a guaranteed right. Let me know. Give me a like. Give me a comment. You could hope, if you're not subscribed, if you just came across this video, please subscribe. So either, whether you're watching this on Rumble, whether you're watching this on YouTube, and interact with me on social media. I still don't know what the hell's going on with Truth Social. They really screwed the pooch with this. I'm still waiting on the waiting list to get on. So I got a couple of my friends who are on. They're like, hey, why aren't you on yet? I'm like, I signed up, but I don't know what's going on. So hopefully soon I'll be on there. And I'm still on all the other social medias. When you produce content like this, you can't just go on one platform for social media. So anyways, I'm gonna leave it there. It's been a couple days since I made a video. Sorry about that. I just had computer issues. So hopefully it's fixed, and I'm just gonna start saving up for a backup now. So with that being said, have a good one, everyone.